Hello everybody, it's Matt from Akuma Mods. Today we have another resin printer review. So I reached out to a company called WiiBoox, and I've been in contact with them for a little while, and they had some really interesting printers like like the coffee whip that you see on top of like at fancy coffee shops. They have those, and then like you can 3D print stuff on top of coffees. And then the other one that really caught my eye that they had was a chocolate 3D printer, which was really, really cool looking. Unfortunately, that's not what we got today, but we do have a new product of theirs, at least it's fairly new. This is a resin printer. So the build volume on this thing is 130 by 70 by 180. So not too big, but you know, it's a fairly nice size for what you need. So with that, let's get to unboxing it. Again, always make sure that you cut away from yourself. Alright, and again, we're gonna put this down on the floor of my mess so we can get everything up and ready. Okay, so right off the bat, we have a Qualifications Certificate. Not really sure exactly what that is. Take a quick gander here. After sales guarantee card, basically product warranty and all the information, all the Chinese stuff that you need to know how to get in contact with them. LCD 3D printer, WiiBoox Light, that is I believe the name of this. So and again, their phone number, email contact, all their information if you want to go and visit China and meet them. It's okay, I can talk today. Calibration platform. So I'm guessing these are used for calibration. So we'll see how that goes. We'll put that one off to the side. This does come with a bottle of resin. And it is their own, like, just kind of knockoff brand, it looks like. This is flexible resin, actually. I was expecting something completely different. I thought that this comes with white, I thought that's what it said in the description, but this is actually flexible resin, and it is gray in color. Shake well before use, obviously, so that's really cool. I have yet to use a flexible resin, so that'll be interesting to see. We have our power cord, which is definitely the wrong connector. Thankfully, I have a lot of different connectors here, and these are pretty cheap. They're only like $5-6 if you order through Amazon or get it at the store. So there's at least one downfall already. So we'll have to get in contact with them and let them know that, hey, these are shipping in America and you're having UK. Or maybe these are 220. Now that I'm thinking about it. This is 10 amp at 250 volts. I hope this doesn't need anything bigger. I hope this comes with a power pack, because that would be a downfall if this is for 220. We'll have to see. Now that I'm thinking about it, as I say, it needs a power pack. Here's the power pack right here. So we have our power pack. Let's see here. So it's 24 volt at 6 amps, 100 to 240 volts. So this should run on regular power, regular American power. I have a cord set up here already, so we're good to rock and roll. Looks like it does come with 4 feet, an actual sand disc. It's probably a knockoff, but hey, at least it says sand disc, so that would be cool if it is actually a legitimate one. We have our tools, tweezers, scraper. This is actually a very interesting scraper. And then our typical 3 to 4 Allen keys. It's normal to get with resin printers. Our really cheap strainers, which I'll add to my collection of about 1 million of them. Pairs of gloves. Interesting that they don't have the regular ones. They have clear. I guess that's okay. Oh, and FET film. Always nice to have FET film included. I know they're kind of getting a little more regular nowadays, but you know, back when resin was first starting off, it's kind of hard to get FET film, or it was very expensive to get it. All right, there's that. So this does look like a very nice printer. So let's see if we can get this out of here in one shot. Alrighty. Whew, that is a heavy printer. Good Lord. Comes nicely wrapped. Let's just make sure there's nothing else in the box. And we'll throw that off in the back here. Alright. So, again, we're going to have to open this up. So I will say that there is some gunky stuff on the top here. I don't know if that's leftover resin or not. Oh my God, I touched it with my hand. To be honest, it's not the end of the world. I have a wash station. Not too far from me, so. All right. So looks like a pretty nice printer. Let's see if we can get this casing off. I hate having this film on here. Ooh, that is fancy looking. Again, much like the printer right behind it, the Nova 3D, the WiiBoox looks like a very nice professional looking printer. And one thing I will say that everybody will definitely love about this machine if they decide to get it, we have frontal USB. Now, unfortunately, there's no power on the front. That's in the rear. But at least they did one thing right. So we're at least halfway there. So that's at least one good kudo point. It'd be nice if they had like a nice push button like the Nova has on the front here, like maybe right around there. Or swap the USB, or maybe even just put it above there. That would be perfectly fine. So, no instructions on this. Obviously, there's probably instructions on the USB drive, which we will take a gander at. But we're just gonna unbox this and test it out from the get-go. See how it rocks and rolls. Surprised there's no covering on the fronts here. Maybe because it was tested at some point. I don't know. This is a lift up top. Those are very nice hinges. So, yeah, that's a nice strong hinge. All right, so let's go ahead and start this bad boy up and see what we're working with here. It's kind of hard to get in there. Okay, so we got a loading screen. So this does have Wi-Fi on it. I'm not sure if it's got its own slicing program. I'll be honest, I haven't really looked much into it. I just kept in contact with the rep from WiiBoox, and he had let me know that, hey, we have a new resin printer out, so it's there. Now, unfortunately, this is all in Chinese, so let's see if we can maybe change this. Nope. English, yay, there we go. Okay, that's what, nope, we didn't change it. There we go. Just had to hit accept. It was a little eccentric there. Okay, so at least out of the box, it's in Chinese. Not the end of the world. I'll be honest, a lot of people don't really know about this printer, and that's probably for the reason why this is set up the way it is. Coming with a European-style connector or 220 connector, whatever it may be, and coming out of the box in Chinese. They don't really market this, and actually this was the last one that they had And now that I'm looking at it right now, it says that they got 2 more left in stock. So they must have just got 2 in stock. So that means that they're slowly pushing these out. They're not really going to push them as hard as like a regular resin printer, because that's not what they're known for. They're known for more exotic resin printing. So before we do anything, let's go ahead and put our feet on here. So far so good. It is pretty quiet. So that's definitely a plus. I know that that's a big thing for a lot of people, whether it be, you know, resin printing or 3D printing. They people don't like the noise sounds. One thing I do notice here, which is kind of strange. I'm not really sure why they have it hooked up like this, but as you can see, there's a hole right here, and that does go all the way through. So if you're worried about the smell of resin, this printer might not be for you. Or if you do, put it in an enclosure to get everything out, because obviously that's going to have an effect on the smell. Now, in all honesty, with me having a 3D printer and having several different resin printers, and this one actually sitting right here and has been printing the last 2 days, I don't really have a problem with the smell. In fact, most of the time I don't smell it. Now, when it comes to like an Anycubic Photon, those do have active cooling fans inside to draw out the air in a supposed carbon filter, and it doesn't really work. So my suggestion to that is just to disable the fans, and you'll have a better quality of air, I guess you could say. So yeah, let's see what's on this. Let's go and check out our system. Let's go to Wi-Fi settings. Okay. Not sure how we can set up Wi-Fi here. Oh, there we go. Backspace. So not too bad with the touch screen and everything. Oh. As I say that, I can barely type. Yep. Let's see if we can connect there. So I'm not sure if it's slow or not, but we're just going to try and back out of here. See, maybe it'll set up here now. Oh, wait, we got an IP address. Okay, cool. So let's go to our main menu if we can. System, we'll go back in there. Okay, so we got Wi-Fi settings, auxiliary, that's resin tray cleaning. So my Hiea has that, so this makes me believe that this has a Raspberry Pi for its control board, which would be really cool, because that uses Nano DLP for its online setup. That's much like the G-Tech DP200 that uses a, it doesn't use a Raspberry Pi, but it does use Nano DLP, which means it's not a Shitu box or CBD board, as they call them. So that makes me believe at least that's what's inside of here. Whether or not that's right, I don't know. Let's go to system info. So this is called the WiiBoox Light. We're on version 1.2, MAC address, serial, blah, blah, blah. We'll probably end up hardwiring this at the end of the day. We already did all that. Language settings, okay. Control, so this is our up and down, so let's go 50 mil so we can raise this up. So not too loud. It does feel a little vibratey. But I think that's because the feet are hard. They're not like a soft rubberized. So maybe down the line we'll do an upgrade on the feet for that. But we'll see how this all looks up. Hopefully the screen and everything is good to go. One of the cool features about this, much like the G-Tech DP200, is instead of you having a hard time replacing an LCD screen, you take off the vat here, and then the LCD screen, I believe, is held on by a bunch of screws. You unscrew those, and everything just comes out in one shot. So that's really cool if that's the actual case and point here. But we'll have to see if that is what the deal is. Control printing, okay, so we do have some files on here. SDA, system volume, okay, light, let's go to net copy, no. So I don't think there's any test files on this actually. So we might have to cut this short a little bit and throw on some of our own stuff. Now this is a pretty beefy build plate, I will tell you that much. The Nova is pretty close in terms of a build plate, but this one is definitely the beefiest I've seen. So really this piece of sheet metal is the only part that's really the build plate. And as you can see, there is some resin stuck on there, so we're just going to wipe it off. Obviously for testing purposes, and you can see there are some scratch marks on it. I'll be honest, I'm not that worried about it. That's going to happen. It's just like a new car. You know, you try and take care of it as much as you can, but eventually in the end, you're going to get rock chips and you know, dings and whatnot on it. So it's going to happen. That's why I kind of prefer these type of metal plates than I do like the anodized. Even though the anodized do look very nice, these are just better because when the anodized starts wearing off, it looks terrible. And those might not actually work. So we do have a piece of foam and a piece of napkin. So let's go ahead and take a gander at what's underneath this vat. And I think this is a complete, yeah, this is a fully metal vat as well. So like I said, this is all nicely set in here, and they do have a really, really nice like sticker piece for the LCD screen. It's kind of like these ones that I bought from someone in the UK. I think it was the UK or California. I forget exactly where it was, but obviously that's two far different areas. But check. It works. It's called Mach 5, and basically it's a surround for your LCD screen to make sure that no resin gets inside of here. This is really, really nice. It's got a nice plates on it and everything, and it's got just a nice looking setup. So it is very professional looking, much like the Nova here, and that's kind of why I had them set up next to each other, because I wanted to see really the difference between them, and it looks like build volume wise they're pretty much the same. So I think the Nova might be a little bit smaller in some areas, but this is a pretty nice printer so far. Definitely an interesting vat that kind of locks into place. So It'll definitely help with adhesion. So I'm hoping to get some really nice prints off of this and very few failures. But again, we shall see, because really failures in terms of resin printing is really up to the user. You know, I can print whatever I want till the cows come home, but you know, if I don't put in the right support settings or whatnot, I will probably have a failed print and have a bad day. But yeah, this slides in very nicely into here. As much as I like, you know, how people have their own specific thing, one thing I wish that they had was somehow to rotate this and just to be able to drip this. That is my only gripe about most of these 3D printers, the resin 3D printers nowadays, is that there's no real good way to flip that. That anybody has really come up with. So I'd really like to see that down the line in future future builds. But yeah, so let's see if let's go to printing. Let's go to SDS. Let's go to light. So it does have a WiiBoox slicer. Okay, so that's definitely what's inside of here. Wi-Fi. Okay, we already set up Wi-Fi. System volume info. Okay, there's nothing in there, obviously. Profiles, configure, images, tests. There we go. So this uses a .djs file. I'll be honest, I've never really heard that, but no, we're not printing. You know what? Let's go ahead and test the light really quick. There should be a test here. Control. No. Maybe this doesn't have a test. So there we go. It's okay. The screen is under test. So we have D20 and 20 by 20. So basically, if you guys didn't see that, it shows a calibration square and a calibration circle, and both of them are 20 millimeters. Please hold for a while. Okay. Let's just double check this. Okay, so yeah, everything's looking good on our end in terms of screen. Resin tray cleaning. So what that's going to be is, let's say you are either down to the end of your liquid, your resin, whatever you want to call it, and you need to clean up your tray, or there's a fail print on there, and you just want to clean everything out. So what's nice about these is they have a resin cleaning, and basically what that does, if you guys can't see, it what am I doing? It will. Okay, so that's good. So one thing, so it does stay on there for a little bit. But basically what it does is it has a full exposured screen. So what it does is anything that is in the tray that is in the screen's area, it will be automatically cured. So instead of you trying to get every little nook and cranny that has some resin here and there, like little tiny stuff. I know resin is very expensive, so everybody is very, very penny pincher when it comes to resin and saving every little bit of it. I understand that completely, at least on resin printing, because it can get expensive, especially if you're in Canada. You guys, unfortunately, have very high prices when it comes to resin. But in terms of cleaning, that will definitely help you out to get your vat clean as best as you can. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this all set up here. Let's go to printing. Let's go, let's see. We'll do tune 005. And just like any other 3D printer, this should automatically be leveled, I would hope. If not, we're going to have a nice crash on our hands. That's not going to be too fun. So it does smell a little bit, not too bad. That should be a good amount for that. All right, let's go ahead and select DJS. Okay. So there are some software updates that definitely need to be made because, like, as of right now, it says that it's printing, but it says to press play. And then when I press play, it says that it's paused. So whatever's on here, that's what it's actually doing. So that's a little weird, unless it's going to start doing something differently when it actually starts printing. But we'll see what happens when it comes to it. So, much like the Nova, it does have a little bit of sound to it, but not too terrible. Obviously, some of the other printers I have, such as the Elegoo, the G-Tech, the Hiea, the Longer Orange, those printers, they tend to be a little bit more quiet. Okay. Not really sure why it did that. Unfortunately, these files, I probably should have looked at them. So if it does that again, we're going to stop it. We'll plug it in the computer and see what files are actually needed to be used on here, because it does say tune-005 .djs. So we shall see what it has. One thing I do notice here is the way that the vat is set up. It basically has like a lower portion and then it has an upper portion. So it'll tell you like, okay, this is going to be your maximum fill for this vat. So obviously we have already seemingly added too much resin into it, but we shall see. So I don't think anything's happening here, so let's go ahead and stop this. So let's go to printing. Okay, well aware. We can take this off now. Yeah, so we're gonna take this out and see what's going on with this. I don't think we have anything to really worry about in terms of what's on there. Let's take a gander. Open folder to view. Light. Okay. All right. So we have a Word document. It's kind of scary. Let's see if we can press this back. Push this back a little bit so we can see exactly what's going on here. Okay, so this is kind of instructions, but again, it's in Chinese, unfortunately. So it doesn't show that there's any slices in here. So let's go to WiiBoox Wi-Fi. Okay. So out of the box, at least, you're not going to be printing. You definitely need to set this this printer up, and unfortunately, it looks like it is all in Chinese, which is kind of a downfall. Okay, so it looks like it's in Chinese, then English. It starts with prepping the model, create 3D models to generate STL files. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what it says, types of stuff that it can use. So software looks like it uses a type of okay. So one of the things that this boasts that I just wanted to point out while I'm scrolling through here is it does have auto leveling. Now, in terms of resin printing, there's never really a true auto leveling. But what this says is basically after you level it, users don't need to level it again before each use. Upgraded auto leveling design makes it level itself automatically. I'm not really sure how that works, considering the leveling is these 4 screws on the build plate. So auto leveling is kind of strange that that it supposedly can use that. So it does support STL, SLC, and OBJ files. So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything off of this USB drive. We'll let that all transfer, and then we're going to clear out the entire USB drive and add an STL file. So now that that is transferred, we're going to go ahead and delete, get rid of everything. And we're going to go into our 3D objects. And let's see here. Of course, this is taking forever because of my stuff. Let's see about... you know, I've been wanting to do a Flexi Rexy to see how the links would come out. So let's go ahead and do that and see if it comes out. Because on the Nova, they actually were able to utilize the printing abilities of that printer and were able to print an articulating octopus. Now, granted, it was small. It's probably about the size of my thumb, but still, the fact that they can do that was very interesting to me because I didn't think that it would. Okay, So let's go to printing. So it does have a power off, huh? Shutting down. Please do not turn off the power. We're just going to reset everything because it's still showing the files on the USB drive for some reason. Now this is kind of slow, so once I do this first print and I get it all set up, I will go ahead and kind of tear into it and see what is inside of this and what's powered by it, in terms of what type of board it has, whether it has a CVD board or a Pi 3, which I believe it does have, due to its quietness and everything. It definitely has a more optimized board for sure. So this definitely is on a little bit of the slower side for sure when it comes to printing. But this you can power off. Okay. So that's another thing that's kind of nice if it does happen to have a Raspberry Pi that powers it, because that means that it's got a safe shutdown. So if anybody who's watching knows anything about Raspberry Pis, one of the biggest things that is argued about on using a Raspberry Pi is corrupting SD cards. I know on earlier model Raspberry Pis, they tend to corrupt SD cards constantly if they're not properly shut down. Like if you just kill the power to it, it would destroy your SD card quite often, actually. So that again makes me think that this has a Raspberry Pi because it has that shutdown sequence on it. And if it does, that's a good thing to have because that'll keep you from corrupting your SD card. Even though it's not much of an issue now on the newer models, the Pi 3s, it definitely helps to have that just in case. So let's go to the SD card files. I'm not sure why it's not finding this. Okay, so there's the SDJ. There we go. Okay, so yeah, there are some things that need to be worked on because when you go to click on the file, it says printing or not, yes or no. Well, it's not really printing, but is it asking me, is it printing currently, or do I want to print it? So a better way, at least, to say how to put that over is, would you like to start a print or something along those lines? Because that can be confusing to some people. So even though it kind of is a little clear, so it is slicing the file, and once it's done, we will take a gander and see what's going on here. So now it does say that it's printing. Okay, so we have supported systems is Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. Our layer thickness, printing accuracy, it's pretty much the same for anybody. Z-axis linear rail, so this isn't as good, like the Z-axis isn't as good as, you know, I'd expect from a $500, $600 printer actually. I expect like dual linear rails or a beefier one. Like the Nova that's behind here has a linear rail that's like about this thick. It is huge. So I feel a little better that it has that. Obviously that's really not going to be a bad thing if everything else is set up correctly. you're not really going to have an issue with the Z on this, and everything is metal construction, so I don't see it having an issue. Unlike a spark maker, that that one kind of worries me a little bit because the entire Z um, carriage is printed, or not printed, but molded plastic. So it does vibrate very, very much. So just to go through, just reading off the listing of Amazon, it says high printing precision, 2560 by 1440, so that's a 2K HD masking LCD, to produce more accurate printing with exquisite details. Printing perfect to be used in those fields such as jewelry, dental prototyping, which requires a high degree of precision. So this should come out very well. And as you can see, it did slice the file, and it sliced it properly, and we're ready to rock and roll here. So I think we're using a good portion of the build plate, if not using the entire thing. So that is one of the downfalls of STL. If you just take an STL and you throw it on there and it slices it, it will either do one of two things. It will automatically scale it down, which if it does have automatic scaling, that's really cool. But then that's also a bad thing if you're having multiple different files and your next file doesn't take up the entire build plate. It takes up like a small part. Like let's say you did a figurine and you forgot to scale it down from a 300 millimeter build plate to this 130 or whatever it is, or 130 by 70. So what it'll do is it'll scale it down, and let's say you print the arms separately. Well, obviously those are not going to scale down by themselves because the arms are only so big, and the print is going to be the body of part of it is going to be so big. So if you're going to just go ahead and throw on an STL file, just make sure that the build volume is the correct size, because you don't want to go overboard and then have a disaster on your hands. Because while it may print the file, your tolerances, your fitment will not be good if you're doing multiple things at once. So, but I'm not going to leave you guys hanging here. As you can see, it is printing. So with a little bit of hiccup at the beginning there, when in terms of slicing files, there's no real sliced files on here. So I will get with WiiBoox and see if maybe they can do something about that. But as of right now, we're printing. I will do my usual week test on this, and week when I mean like I'll take a week in printing stuff and see how it goes, and get back to you with an actual full-on review of what I think about it, because we're going to install the slicing software. We're going to see how everything is in terms of that. But I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to the Nova 3D, which is right behind here. But initial impressions on it, it is very nice. Few gripes with it. Like I said, the airflow openings here, not really a good thing. A lot of people don't like that. So just be aware that there is these holes in the side here. So if you're worried about fumes, have something by you that will take in the fumes. I have a air purifier that these sit next to when they are all printing. So I have the room completely filtrated at all points in time. So that is something you definitely want to look into. And then also, no test files were on here that I saw. I'll have to dig a little bit more. Maybe I missed them. I didn't really see them on there. So that's really a big issue, because people want to test out and see how good of a printer it is. But if that is the case, I will definitely send that information to WiiBoox and say, hey, this is something that you should probably include. Another kind of issue that is plaguing me is as it states on here that it does come with white on the bottle of resin. Let's see if we can get a shot here. I forget exactly where it is, but it says somewhere on here that it comes with a bottle of white resin, and this is flexible resin that's in gray. Now, I can't really complain about that because that's cool that we have flexible resin. I definitely have a couple prints that I'm going to definitely use this for and see how they come out, because I've been wanting to test flexible resin. It's one of the few that I have not gotten into yet, so we will see how it comes out. But this is a brand new printer right on the market. It's probably only been around for less than a month. So obviously there are going to be a few quirks and things that we need to take a look at and maybe give some feedback on it. But all in all, it is a really solid printer. It is very heavy compared to most of the printers that I've used. In fact, it is the heaviest out of all the printers right now. And this one's pretty big. I'd put this up there. I have a big boy. Now, I call it a big boy because it's a big printer. It is a Hiea SQ3, which I need to work on, and I'll do a couple videos on that because we're replacing the screen and doing some other stuff with it. But it is a really, really big printer, and it's very, very heavy because it's mostly metal out of anything. And this thing is pretty close to that in terms of weight. So for its size, it's a pretty beefy printer. I do like the design of the flip up top. I do like that. I know a lot of people don't like the hood design, or lift off hood, I should say. Whew, that is a little stinky. So just to let you know, there is a little bit of fumes coming off there, and I only noticed that when I just picked up this hood. So that's kind of nice that even though there are holes inside here, it doesn't seem like they're expelling the resin fumes as badly as I thought it would be. Now, when I lift this up, you could definitely smell that. That's kind of stinky resin. Not the worst that I've used, but it's up there. But all in all, it's a fairly nice printer for what it is. It's a tad bit pricey at $600, but we'll have to dig into it and see, is it really worth that $600 price range that's currently going for, or should it come down maybe $100 and put it in the price range of the G-Tech DP200 or the Anycubic Photon, or the Hiea SQ1, some of those printers that are similar. I can't talk today. Similar priced range in terms of that, because this Nova is about $360 right now on Amazon, and for those who are big E-Packs fans, which I'm looking to get one of those at some point in time, those are $400, and they're all similar build volumes. So as of right now, that's kind of a hard sell at $600. This better produce some pretty dang good prints for that $600 price range. But I mean, in terms of build quality, if it really shows itself as to be as good as it states in terms of like slicing, in terms of the light technology that it's got, because it does have a matrix light source, with the auto leveling, if that is a true auto leveling, which again, when it comes to mechanical, there's no auto leveling involved. They may call it that, but I don't see how it is. But it does have a pretty beefy plate on it, so that's a good possibility that if this is leveled one time, it's a one and done. So for that alone, that might be the biggest seller on it right now that I can see. But otherwise, it's just a normal everyday printer right now. So we'll have to do our follow-up review video on it and see what's going on. And I that's all I really got for it right now. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and post them down below. I'm always around to help out. If somebody happens to get this printer, I will help you out setting it up and getting it all up and running if you don't know what to do. But again, they're pretty self-explanatory. So if you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd like to try and get to 1,000 followers someday, so we can start doing live videos off of my phone and, you know, just kind of going through the shop area, or my basement, I should say, my shop area, and showing you guys off some cool stuff that I have project-wise working on. And, you know, that way we can actually do like a live Q&A about resin printing. I think that would be really cool. Maybe we'll do that on Facebook one day, but as of right now, YouTube has limited it to where you have to have 1,000 followers, which is unfortunate because I used to like doing live videos all the time and, you know, chit-chatting with people and giving them feedback on the printers while we're talking. So that's something I definitely miss. So if you can, that'd be great. I'm not saying you need to, but it would be awesome, I guess. Until then, happy printing, guys.